Hey YouTube, let's talk about some EV news today, about how the Nissan Ariya got a big price drop in the UK market. A slightly surprising recent trend, right? Why did the Nissan Ariya drop in price? Let's talk about it. It's happening all across Europe, starting with the United Kingdom. The Nissan Ariya's popularity seems to be declining, don't you? Why indeed is the Nissan Ariya not? Is it because it's not stacking up against stronger EV competition? Could be it's just lacking in several areas. Yes, with its EV performance and standard equipment, along with this price drop, it's something to think about. We will explore its cost-performance ratio. First, let's talk about the Nissan Ariya in the context of current UK EV trends. This topic hasn't been updated on the channel in a while. I haven't shared updates for a while. It's been a while since we looked at what's happening in the UK. I would like to look at this graph that shows the sales trend for battery EVs and plug-in hybrids. The most recent data is from July 2023. Here you can see the sales data. There were nearly 35,000 units sold, which is almost double the previous year. This shows how much growth there has been from the same month in the previous year. So it seems that the shift to EVs is happening quite steadily. On the other hand, we see the share of sales for battery EVs and plug-in hybrids. That accounts for a good 24.1%. This data is as of July 2023, meaning as of now, 1 out of every 4 new cars sold in the UK is either a battery EV or a plug-in hybrid. So this clearly shows that the EV shift is well underway. Here we can see that the shift to EVs is definitely happening. Now, if we look at the sales shares specifically for battery EVs, the latest figures show a share of 16% in July. That's just over a 16% share. Looking at the past year, you'll see it doesn't seem like the shift to EVs has been that rapid, so there's a trend you might observe. Given this, it's interesting to compare the battery EV share in major developed countries. For example, in Germany, also in Europe, the share in July was 20%, so the UK's battery EV share seems to be slightly behind. Various reasons might explain this, but a major factor is that the UK imports most of its cars, and many of those are from mainland Europe. Hence, the higher transport costs might be driving up the car prices. So, a good amount of that is coming from mainland Europe. That means they're being shipped in, right? And with the rise of shipping costs lately, the price of the vehicle is naturally going up as well. That's why the price of EVs is significantly rising. People in the UK might find it hard to buy the battery EV due to such reasons, so maybe that's why the share of the battery EV is declining. So for the average Brit, battery EVs might be becoming less affordable. That might be why battery EV sales are down. So the share of battery EV is decreasing. I would like to think that is a valid assumption. And another thing to note is about the sales of popular battery EVs in the UK. I don't have the model-specific data for the UK, so I'll show the brand ranking. First, Tesla is dominating with a lead of twice the competition. One thing that stands out is Tesla is moving ahead, far ahead of the second place. Tesla, probably too strong for the competition, is even popular in the UK. What's interesting to watch, however, is that following Tesla in second place is the Chinese brand, MG. MG was originally a UK manufacturer, and it seems UK buyers don't see it as a Chinese brand. That might be why it does not feel like a foreign car to the British. Moreover, the new compact hatchback MG4 is said to be the most cost-effective battery EV in Europe and UK. With the new MG4 hatchback, it's considered one of the most cost-effective EVs in Europe. In fact, the new MG4 is currently the most cost-effective battery EV in Europe. That's why, despite Volkswagen being the leader of the market, MG is selling more cars in the UK. So there's that. So the star of the show today is Nissan, who's ranked 14th. So what's really impressive here is that Nissan is able to rank amongst the top brands. Meanwhile, the contrast between Japanese and Korean makers is interesting. Today we need to pay attention to one thing. First off, Kia and Hyundai from South Korea are, in the top 10. In contrast, Nissan from Japan is barely in 14th place, right behind Toyota. As per Nissan Leaf, it's not selling at all. Along with the Ariya and this commercial vehicle, the Townstar, well, they've got multiple EV models, but they're still losing against the Korean competition. That's a bit iffy, I think. So, to this graph, not only in the UK, but also the monthly sales of the Nissan Ariya in Europe as a whole, you see, hover around 1,000 units since it was launched. However, the issue for Nissan is that even though production has increased to an extent, yet sales numbers haven't really improved, you see. So, perhaps the sales pace of Nissan in Europe is slowing down, I think. Well, that's one way to see it. So, I guess for Nissan, it's finally slashing prices for the Ariya in the UK market. They've announced it. And specifically, the grade equipped with a 63 kilowatt-hour battery, equivalent to Japan's B6, gets a uniform £3,000 price cut, or about 560,000 yen. Also, the B9 equivalent grade with an 87 kilowatt-hour battery gets a uniform £3,750 price cut, or roughly 700,000 yen. So big price cuts. I guess that's all. Moreover, they've added this new entry-level grade, the Engage grade. Also, they've made the lineup more affordable with this Engage grade, priced under £40,000. Anyway, I reckon Nissan is resorting to markdowns to boost sales. By the way, it's not just in the UK. Price cuts have started globally for Nissan, especially in China. As explained multiple times on this channel, the cut in China is about 120 million yen, or approximately £6,500. So that's what happened. This cut in the UK isn't Nissan's first, right? We're seeing sales boosting moves by Nissan worldwide. So that's it, sales boosting right across the globe. So shall we take a look at how the Nissan Ariya fares after the price cut in terms of competitiveness and cost performance, particularly against its main rivals in the UK, namely the Toyota bZ4X and the Hyundai Ioniq 5 from South Korea and the reigning champ, the Tesla Model Y. We'll particularly look at EV performance at a glance. What are the standard equipment like, What can be equipped as standard? Let's look at that. I'd like to compare all of it in one go. First, the grades I've selected are the cheapest and the most expensive. And, I've selected two, the entry-level grade and a high-end AWD long-range version. Speaking of range, Ariya has the Even if translated to EPA range, Ariya is only 346 kilometers. On the other hand, Toyota bZ4X has a whopping 406. So on that note, it seems like the bZ4X has better cost performance. Next, on charging performance, the Ariya is the lowest at 130 kilowatts. Plus, when it comes to charging time, the Ariya takes about 30 minutes. In comparison, the Ioniq 5 takes only 18 minutes. And the Model Y charges in about 20 minutes. The latest version of the Model Y now comes with BYD's Blade battery. So, the charging performance has improved dramatically. So from this perspective, the charging performance of the Ariya is lagging, I would say. When it comes to storage space, the Ariya has 466 liters at most. On the other hand, the Ioniq 5 has 527 liters. Moreover, it's equipped with a storage space under the bonnet. Furthermore, the Model Y has a considerably larger total storage space, which is unmatched. Therefore, even from this viewpoint, the specs of the Ariya don't look so attractive. Even looking at it, Ariya's specs aren't super appealing. All this factors into the price, Especially with this recent big price drop, the Nissan Ariya is the cheap, cost £39,645. Especially for the bZ4X, even the base model costs over £46,000. That's quite a difference compared to the Ariya. It's no surprise the bZ4X hasn't been selling well. Looking at the cost-performance ratio of these EVs, it's a bit rough. It kind of makes you wonder, The real standout this time around is the level of standard equipment available is impressive. There's a clear division here and I want to highlight that. So let's start. Here, I chose the base model to keep the review fair, so it's an equal playing field here. Let's start from the top and look at the price. It's clear that the Ariya has a bit of a lead. The Ariya is leading the pack, especially when considering affordability. However, in terms of the touchscreen, the bZ4X only has an 8-inch screen. In Japan, all models have a 12.3-inch screen. They have that in all models, but some entry grades overseas have a smaller screen. The entry grades have been scaled down to an 8-inch screen, which is a bit 8 inches on a new EV model. That's a bit tough, isn't it? That's how it looks to me anyway. Next up is wireless charging for smartphones. Neither the Ariya nor the bZ4X come. However, the Ioniq 5 comes standard with it. For the Model Y, it can charge two devices at the same time. Next up is the tailgate. Both the Ariya and bZ4X are manual, but the Model Y is electric, of course. The Ioniq Q5s can operate hands-free. So the Ioniq Q5 really steps up here in terms of standard features, including seat adjustment functions. Neither the Ariya nor the bZ4X offer them. They're all manual. Plus, neither offer seat or steering heaters. However, the Ioniq Q5 and Model Y do come standard with them. The Model Y also has a lumbar support and seat memory function standard. Even the rear seats in the Model Y have heaters. So the Ariya and bZ4X just can't compete in terms of options. The battery preconditioning function is a standout feature of the Nissan Ariya, but tests already show it's quite weak. It's a standard feature on the Ioniq 5 and Model Y. They both also come with a standard glass roof. The Ariya and bZ4X don't even offer a level 2 autonomous driving system as an option. Both the Ioniq 5 and Model Y come with it standard, despite the Ariya making claims of a battery preconditioning feature. It's been tested and proven to be rather weak, especially in Norway during winter. This is something you have to manually turn on. As an EV enthusiast, I get it and remember to use it, but the majority of people wouldn't bother. So offering this preconditioning function on a manual basis isn't really serving end users, especially for the bZ4X. It doesn't offer any preconditioning feature at all. Basically, anyone that isn't an EV geek wouldn't even think to use this feature. So it's almost time to charge, and despite knowing to manually press the preconditioning button, it's not something most users would know to do. So yeah, not much point in offering a manual preconditioning feature. It's not going to really resonate with the vast majority of users. So there's that. Alright, moving on. Let's take a look at the standard equipment for each. The only Model Y has a standard glass roof, right? Then there's the Benz self-driving feature, which is crucial. The bZ4X doesn't have that feature. Funny thing is, The Ioniq 5 and Tesla Model Y come standard with it. The Ioniq 5 has in-car outlets and V2L function. So unique, right? Makes you think what else you can do with an EV like that. About the audio systems, only the Model Y has a standard 14 speakers. So yeah, it's like no comparison at all. I've checked the sound system of all models myself, and Model Y just surpasses all in terms of sound quality. When you start comparing the standard equipment, it gets interesting. Like, first of all, the BZ4X is pretty much out of the picture, right? Kind of obvious once you come. It's pricey and doesn't have any optional extras, so it's a no-brainer. No wonder it's not selling in the UK. That's the reason, I think. Speaking of that, the Nissan sure is the cheapest option, right? But if you dig into the details, I've got to say the entry-level trim is just for show. In terms of practicality, it's quite low, so if you add the essential options, you find that the price is getting closer to the Ioniq 5 or Tesla Model Y's entry-level trim. No question about it. When it comes to EV features like speed, range, charge speed, storage, you name it, no model beats the Ioniq 5. Even if they lower the price and add entry-level options, the gap just won't close. Doubt they'll recover sales in the UK market, which is a bit sad. So, kind of a bummer, but that's how I see it. The Ioniq 5 is definitely the leading competitor. Even in Japan, Hyundai is giving Nissan a run for their money. Hyundai's selling more, hands down. And as for standard features, the Ioniq 5 has been out for over 2 years now. There's also the Kona, which has its own share of the pie. The Kona, on the other hand, is almost at the end of its model life. A new Kona Electric will start deliveries in Europe this fall. So yeah, that's how it is. Taking all this into account, sales numbers for Hyundai are likely to keep growing through the rest of the year and into next year. The gap with Nissan will probably keep widening. Granted, the Ariya hasn't even been out for a year, but Nissan doesn't even seem to be planning to update the Leaf at all, right? But Hyundai's going strong. A bit disappointing, but reality is Nissan, who was supposed to be the pioneer of the EV shift, is falling behind. Their performance with the Ariya doesn't look all too good, honestly. Could become a major problem for them moving forward. So yeah, that's why I think it's a bit difficult for them to turn things around. Anyway, that's why Nissan Ariya's big price drop in the UK is interesting. But if you look closely, it does seem like a quick fix rather than a solid long-term strategy. Moreover, the Ariya needs a model change, I think. And same goes for the Leaf. They seem to have no plans for any refresh at all. Then there's Hyundai on the other hand, which, although an import like Nissan, is still showing results. And they also have the Kona, which also refreshes its model lineup regularly. It's a shame that Nissan, once a pioneer of the EV shift, is struggling even against regular car manufacturers and is starting to fall behind. With their current trajectory, it might get harder for them. Even when you look at it this way, it sadly looks like Nissan needs to really push for more EVs and recover their lost market share, especially in the UK and other European markets. Hopefully they'll do something about it. So, let's see how it goes.
So, thank you for watching. If you like this video, give me a like. And please make sure to subscribe to my channel. See you soon.